Hi there, Ashley. I want to let everybody know, and Tyler as well. I'll be coming on board. I had a little bit of a technical glitch here that occurred, but I'm getting ready to start class, and I won't be running over. It's just our first session. I'm going to go ahead and we're sharing these, and please do me a favor.
Wait.
I'm going to mute everybody who's joined me, and of course those who don't can see the recording. I apologize, there was a bit of a just a little bit of a technical glitch that I had to deal with, so pardon me. So we'll get ready to and we'll forge ahead. Again, this is business problem analysis, section A, and I want to just take some time here first of all to kind of walk everybody through Canvas and kind of refresh your memory if it's been a while, or you took a course with me, say last semester, and you just basically have you just kind of need a refresher. Do me a favor, if you would please, and mute your video and any audio that you have, so we don't have you popping up or hearing, or unless you have a question. So we'll go from there. Yeah, someone needs to go ahead and put your phone on mute or your device. Okay, please do that. Now we're going to take a look through some of the sections here, and well, we got to get the crowd here. Let me go back here and look at this for just a second. And if you would, please mute your phone as you're going. Okay? And that way you won't have all the background noise. But we're going to run through Canvas today, and I'll talk some about the course. And then we have, of course, we'll have a physical meeting on Thursday. I'm very sorry about today. I just had a little bit of an issue trying to get signed in. So we're ready to go. So this is the announcements section over here. It's pretty much, we'll tell you, and of course, once I finish this class session today, I will convert it to a YouTube video, and then I'll post it over at YouTube. So not to worry if you missed a little bit or whatever, you can always go back and see the whole thing. And we start a little bit late, but we probably will not go the full hour and 15 minutes anyway, because this is just kind of an intro. Now, I want to go to another section here in Canvas that's quite important, and that's the modules. Okay, and I'm so glad to see so many of you. In fact, just a second, let me pop you guys up there and take a look at. And let's see, Alyssa, glad to see you here. Ashley, thank you. Audrey, I see, who else is on here? Gianluca, I guess I pronounced it. If I did, I apologize. Grant, I see Jocelyn, Josh, and somebody at the lab, Matt, Peyton, Samuel, Taylor, Trevor, Tyler, Aaron, and Evelyn. Thank you so much. And remember, if you miss anything, or it'll be about an hour before I have this recording. Now, I want to mention something else to everybody. Today at 2 o'clock, from 2 o'clock till 5:30, I'll have virtual office hours. The virtual office hours, you can, it's just like this. You visit the link, and I hear a chime that someone's there. And then I can help you if you have a question. If you do chat with me, no one else can see it. So if you're sensitive about that, otherwise I can screen share, whatever. So I do have those virtual office hours. So you'll see the announcements. And then once I've done the recording for today, I'll post it over in the announcements. Okay, so I'll kind of give you a feeling of how this is all going to be working. Now, I want to walk you through some of the other sections of Canvas that are important to see. And let's click on the thing called syllabus, or you'll see that, okay? And what this is, it's kind of misnamed. Really what it is a list of all of the assignments that are due and when they're due. And you'll often find information that says how many points they are and all that business. If it's an exam, how many attempts you can take and all that. These are the Excel cases. We have 13 of those, and then we have 6 Access cases. And what I do is I go through a case, okay, and we talk about it, and then a finished product, I have you upload that, okay? And so you have it there as something you could keep and use. Now, I want to make sure also that you have the textbook with you when we go through this. The Solve It there are 2 textbooks in this course. One is the Solve It textbook, okay, and it has cases in it, and each of those cases deal with some type of business problem. And then the second is the Stephen Few text. That's the great big text it's called Show Me the Numbers. Now, another area here you'll be using is going to be the modules area. The modules area is pretty simple. It just simply shows you themes like this, for example, or it shows you chronologically what's going on. And so I'm going to close this off for a second. This area here, this welcome area, has a tremendous set of resources. Then you'll see I get week by week, okay? And you notice there I see a document named Tyler, shows where to find XLS1, XLS2. There's going to be 3, those are the first 2 of 13 Excel cases. And they correspond to the cases in your textbook. And so we're going to take a look at that. And also we're going to do a preview of the Excel case number 3. It's Guardian Payroll, and I'm going to show you a workbook, a spreadsheet in its full glory, one that's really well constructed, put together looks like, okay? I really believe you learn this best and you get a comfort level where instead of trying to hack through and figure out what to do, you let me show you and deconstruct what you're looking at, so you could do that. And again, I would have my book out, okay, if I was in the class or if you're remote, and I would also just be taking some notes off to the side as we go through some things. And we looked at the modules, and we looked at the syllabus. Here's another area called Files, and I'm going to click on it for a second, okay? And what you'll see are all of the files that we're using in the course. Now, you'll notice things like this. You're looking at this screen shows you the instructor's view, not the student view. So you're going to see some things you go, that's not what I'm seeing, well, you won't see it when you go into the module. You'll see it when you're looking at one of these screencasts. That's the difference. Is I have some things I can unpublish or hide till I'm ready to publish them or show them. But the files section has all of the stuff, all of the files, everything in it. Now, I'm going to go back here for a moment over to the modules area. Okay. And here's the syllabus. Okay, this is for section A. You'll see I have a lot of those resources out there for you, and pop that down. And here's the syllabus and the syllabus attachments, and then the course has a supplemental website. Okay, and I'll let you take a look at that for a sec. And you're going to find some of the materials for exams, materials that you'll need to study, some that you'll need for an assignment over here, okay? And you'll always know which ones you're going to be working with. All right, now we'll go back here for just a second. All right, and I want to continue on with all these resources. Here's, of course, is the syllabus, the supplemental website we talked about that. There's a website for the text, the Solve It 6.0 text. I don't know if the site's operable anymore or not. Here's a link to SnapGrades, and I've got these both hidden right because they're not working. And then the self-service banner, that I have that because it's my, I have that over for my convenience there. Here is a statement of course expectations, readings and materials, the course texts, Okay, I handle my classes like a workshop. Okay, where you come in and I show you how I did something. I provide some additional resources. Okay, now you'll have some quizzes and you'll have exams on material. Those are all online. Any work you do, you submit it online. So there really shouldn't be anybody turning in late work, because you know in advance what you do. You know where you can you can upload it, or the test you can take it. This is why I talked about in that long email to everybody about how I'm trying to build some flexibility for you, because I know many of you, a goodly percentage, are athletes, and so you're going to be gone. And when you do, then you either, if you can make the live screencast, fine. If not, you look at the recording. Okay. Now I have the course texts, and then where I post grades, and right now, until the university hasn't decided if it's going to continue to keep Jupiter grades. So for now, I'm posting scores over at Jupiter, and I'll post scores over here. But Jupiter will be your official grade book. So no big deal about that. I also have some resources for you, like OBU's online library resources. I have a link over to Harvard Business School, and then to the Christian Business Faculty Association. I have some information on the point distribution, excuse me. Then some information about an XLS function paper that's going to be due down by paper. We'll talk about that as we get down, because it's not that big of a deal. And then you'll see I've got some other things unpublished, all right? And then the Solve It student files, okay? And then I have some things like this, which will be materials that will be part of your part of the exams materials. And my exams work like this. If it's a quiz over a chapter in a book, that's one thing. But a full-fledged exam is it has some objective questions, and then it has a hands-on part. And I give you a lot of detailed instruction on how to get those. Okay. And here are a couple of things, some resources about charts. Okay. And I have, we'll do some problem solving in exam 2, and I'll need some of the different solutions that people, or approaches that people could take to get it done. I have some of the information on conditionals. You'll see some things like Hudson Palmer. That's a case that one of the cases we'll be doing. Abraxas is another one of those cases. We have some things like we have a case where we work on a database for pharmacy, and those types of resources. So this is a place where you'll find, for example, here's the solution file for case number 1, case number 2, and then Guardian. And we'll see those as we move through, and things you can upload or access and keep for yourself. Because my belief is, what I'm going to do is we're going to discuss common business problems, and then how we use the software Excel or Access to try to work and solve that problem, or to work with it. And I have some things like some resources. For example, we have one class where we'll be looking at the case. We'll be looking at the receivables, what we call the aging of receivables. And I have a resource there that talks about bad debt, how long it takes to collect it, additional sales to collect it, that type of thing. Okay, now I also have a file, and we'll talk about this, Northwind Traders, which is it's a sales, it's a data warehouse, excuse me, that was created by Microsoft, okay, as a way to let people get acquainted using Access. I've got some other things here, like I've got the solution files, and these are with your files. You're going to find you have 2 types: student files, okay, that are skeleton files, and then solved files. And I will start with the solved files, so you don't have to input a bunch of data. I've done that for you. all of these two tools, Excel and Access, okay, one which is for spreadsheeting, the other which is for collecting and organizing data and retrieving it, okay? Each of those tools fulfill a specific function or role, okay? And so it's important to kind of understand that we don't try to use Access for what it's not intended to be, and the same thing in terms of Excel. And I've got some other things. We'll see these. I have some things like tapestry links. I've got some conditional statements. You'll see these kinds of things here, okay? Now, if you don't see them, it's because they haven't been published, all right? So we've gone through here a little bit. Of course, let's go for a moment back to the syllabus, okay? And you say, well, okay, what do the first assignments do? The first assignments are due the Thursday, the 8th of February, 5 o'clock. There's a quiz on the financial ratios. This financial ratios quiz is based on quiz number, Excel case number 4. I believe it's called Dabney Financial. And in that case, we take two different companies and we use the financial ratios to compare those firms. And we'll talk about that when we cover the case, but that quiz is based on that. And you'll also find over in that welcome module and in the files, resources as well as a supplemental site to answer those questions for that quiz, okay? Then we come down, here's chapter 2 through 4. That's from the Stephen Few book, Show Me the Numbers. Now, I want to talk about this for just a minute because I'm going to go back up here to the modules area, all right? And of course, you know, there's a lot of stuff in here you can always do Control F, okay? And you'll get the nice little search. And I'm going to look for ANSCOM. Now, and this will help you understand one of the things we're trying to do with the course. This course is called Business Problem Analysis. And what we're trying to do, okay, is get you to become a little more disciplined thinker when you work with a problem in a company, and to understand that despite being in different industries or despite being in different locations, etc., businesses have common or typical problems that they have to face and deal with. And so we use that as a way also to make sure that when you leave here, okay, you are highly conversant with the technologies that are out there, things like dashboards, spreadsheets, and database programs, so that you have a value added that you can present to an employer. In fact, by the time you're finished with the BISS courses, you have the basic skills of a business analyst. So you're going to leave as one of the top business school students in the country because you have skill sets way in excess of what your peers will have. This is a resource. I'll show this, and what you're going to find often, it's better just to download stuff than to try to render it out because it takes forever to render it. So we're going to open this up. There's a very important lesson here for us in dealing with Anscombe's quartet. Now I want to show you this, and I'll bring the zoom up a little bit more and then crash over. Well, okay, I'm going to come down just a bit more. Here we have 4 sets of data, okay? And we assume they have some kind of linear function. And y, well, we have x data and y data implying an x-axis and a y-axis. And we assume that these data then therefore are somewhat linear, they're related. as one goes up, the other goes down, or the other goes down, one goes down, the other goes up, that type of thing. And if you look here, you'll see all four sets of data have the same mean. They have the same variance, and the variance is nothing more than the standard deviation squared, okay? And the standard deviation is the sum of the deviations squared. And then we come down and we get the correlation coefficient. This is Pearson's correlation. And we can see here we're using the variance of, for population. And you can see there in the formula bar. Now, the first two cases in this course, one of them is whistle cleaners. I can't remember what the name of the other course is, but these first two cases are about navigating through Excel. If you've had the 1103, then you should be somewhat at home rummaging around an Excel workbook. Now here's chart number one. I want to show you something. This is what's interesting and important. The same data, here's chart number one from that data set. Here's chart number two. Here's chart number three. And here's chart number four. And what you see is, although the data have the same statistical characteristics, they don't have the same distributional characteristics. And so that's why we have to make certain that we not only can put together a table of data like this that looks pretty, or a spreadsheet, but that we can also present them in a way, one, that human beings can consume, okay? And number two, that really illustrate or give us a picture of the data. Because while they have the same statistical properties, they're not distributed in the real world in the same way. Now, I'm going to close this off for just a second, okay? And I'm going to go back over. I'll go back over to ANSCOM. And we'll scroll down here for a sec. I have a lot of resources in there for you, so let me pop this back up here. No, I should just go ahead and do the search. Here we go. This is an article that was published back in 1973 in the American Statistician. This was written, and the data that you saw in the charts are from this article. And what ANSCOM said is, we have these tools, especially Excel, that enables to do tremendous amount of computational work. Okay, but we haven't perfected the way to take those and create a visual picture that's valid and that makes sense to the end user. Okay, and so you're going to be looking at data throughout your career in one way or another. You're going to be presenting data throughout your career, and so it's good that you have that type of what I call visual literacy. All right, in terms of being able to look at a set of data and pull them together and display them in a way that makes sense. One of the first people who ever did this was a man by the name of John Stone. I'm going to show you this. This is back in London. In the 1854, they had a cholera outbreak. Here's a picture of the old water pump that was in London. As modern cities emerged in the 19th century, i.e. the 1800s, they didn't have indoor plumbing, okay? Only wealthy people had indoor plumbing because it was expensive, and it just frankly was not really reliable. So you had for people to have water, these big cities would create a water hydrant. Now, they discovered by doing that, if they had to fight a fire, they could use that, and hence a fire hydrant. But it used to be you'd get water and towed it up over to your home or whatever. Well, there was a cholera outbreak, and to make a long story short, okay, and I'm going to try to beam this up just a little bit, just to smudge it up for you so you can see it. There we go. And it probably could see. If you'll see, here's a map with a series of dots. And what Snow did was he took a map of London and he began to put a dot at every home where cholera had outbroken. There had been a cholera outbreak, and soon he was able to show this is the zone. This is where it's happening. And they eventually were able to locate that source was water. The water had a virus in it, which was giving people cholera. And so this is the first time that we see someone using this, taking data, okay, from a table. They probably had a table where they had the number of people affected, the address, when that was first reported, something like that. And he just simply created a map. The best people in the world at displaying data are meteorologists. If you watch the weather or you watch the Weather Channel, they do incredible kinds of things. They know, for example, that the general public is mathematically not very literate. So that's why they'll show you if, rainfall. Red shows you really heavy rainfall, then yellow, and then green. They tend to do this. Or if it's going to be cold temperatures, they'll have the darkest blue or purple, and then it gets lighter as it gets warmer. They use those maps and types of tools all the time. We're seeing that happening out in business now with the development of what people call a dashboard. And that's going to be dependent upon your firm, where you are in the firm. When I work with a client, and most of my work now is with churches, I ask them, what are the 5 most important things you need to know every single day about your church? And most of the time they can't tell me, or they give me a list of 25 things. You say, what's the point? The point is this: in any organization, what gets measured gets done. And if a church and their administrative staff, and especially bigger ones, okay, can't tell me, here are the 5 things I need to know, then they have to start to do some work on identifying them and how they measure them, okay, and how they display them so everybody can see them and understand them. So this is an excellent resource in Snow, which is really kind of the start of all of this. Now, the other thing I want to talk with you about is just simply this notion of using these 2 tools. One would be Access, the other would be Excel. Before I do this, I want to show you this. These are the business data roles I was referring to. And by the time you've left OBU, and you can download this and take a look at it, you will have mastered all of these skills. So you will be you'll have the same skill sets as a business analyst. So you'll know how to collect the information that's necessary, present it, etc. Okay, and some of that will also come with experience, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about spreadsheets. What is a spreadsheet? Well, a spreadsheet's a tool that I use to take a set of data and come to and summarize them, or to take a set of data and perform some type of statistical work on them, where I maybe do a forecast, okay? Or I do a sensitivity analysis, where I say, okay, if I change these variables, how does everything work? When I early in my career, I worked with a firm that did mergers and acquisitions, and I was on the cash flow team, okay? And so we tried to build estimates of cash flow that would occur as a result of when the two firms merger. What kind of cash flow will we have, okay? Well, early on, it would to get 5 good scenarios, okay, for our client, it'd take months. Then when we got Excel, okay, and got data digitized, we could take those data and put them in the simulation and run 1,000 trials and say to them, here is the range of solutions you can get. One of the most important things that you need to remember as a decision maker is this: decisions are never just black and white. There's a lot of shades of gray in between. And any decisions we make are subject to the law of unintended consequences. Sometimes we think we do something really, really good, but it ends up bad. I'll give you a good example. Companies give out a bonus. So 1 or 2 employees get the bonus. Nobody else does. And typically what happens is everybody else gets mad because they didn't get a bonus. And so people end up getting demoralized. So the very thing you wanted to encourage, performance, was a problem. It's the same thing today in management compensation. When we tell a CEO of a corporation that's publicly traded, your salary, your income is dependent upon stock prices, that CEO is going to do everything they can to make sure that the stock has the highest prices possible. When you do that, you tend to think short term, not long term. So you might build some wealth in the short term, but in the long term, you might be making some decisions that are for the long-term best interests of the corporation are no good. Okay? So we have to be thinking about those kinds of things, and we'll go back to that over and over as we go through. Now, I want to make sure that there hasn't anything I haven't left in terms of, well, the assignments section. Let me do that. I forgot to show you this one. Okay. The assignments section will list all of the assignments that are not quizzes or exams. Okay? Well, no, it's okay. They've changed the semester, so they've added in the exams and everything else as well. So if you just want to see those, there they are. When they're due, how many points, etc. I apologize about that. They've decided to start melding exams again in here. Now click on quizzes, and this will list just the quizzes, and then of course the syllabus. That section. Okay. Now I'm going to go back up to the modules for just a moment, and I want to talk about what we're going to be doing this week and what we'll do on Thursday. Okay. So I'm going to close this back for just a moment, and on Thursday we're going to preview, okay, case number 3. Okay, that's Guardian Payroll. And we're going to talk about it, all right? And, well, we're supposed to today. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to come back over here into these this home section. Pardon me, to the modules section. And I'm going to try to find Guardian Payroll. I'm going to Control F. I'm trying to find XLS3. We'll try to find Guardian. Okay, Guardian Payroll, and I probably misspelled it. Let's go back to the files because I'm sure it's in here. Okay, and it's going to be Guardian Payroll and or XLS3. I'll find it here for you. Here it is, XLS3 Guardian Payroll. There's a zip file here, so I want to open this up for a minute and show you what we got going on. I'm going to download the zip file. download this zip file, excuse me, and then we'll open this up. And there are two things in here. One of them, okay, is the Excel sheet where I've put together a payroll. Now, Guardian involves putting together a payroll, okay? And it gives us an occasion to talk about the fact that when you hire somebody or you go to work for somebody, they have to pay matching taxes, retirement, all that. So their investment in you is much more than just simply your salary. This is an explanation because Guardian, this complete with rolling FICA, this file is pretty complex. So I'm going to open it up and we'll take a look at it for just a second. Now this is a very, very well constructed spreadsheet, okay? And I want to talk about this for just a moment. In your textbook, you're going to find, I think it's in the intro, they'll talk about the parts of a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet needs to be designed, and it's going to start with the first section is the ID. And that's all this stuff. Who put this together, when did they, etc. Okay? And then we have an assumptions area. What are some assumptions that we have? Now, one of the reasons I will say you need to have the textbook with you when we look at this is so this makes more sense. Oh, okay, the company has to have a certain percentage for federal withholding, there's state withholding, etc. That's where I got those numbers. And then you'll see I've got some notes in here, okay, on what we're talking about, where some cell referencing. All right, now I'm going to go over here first of all, and we're going to start with this area here, and this is the output and computation area, this purple. Here we have the employees and how much they're going to make, and then all their deductions. And then we have a table down here that computes their FICA, okay? And FICA is paid on a rolling basis, and you'll want to take a look at some of these notes that I've got in here because I show you an example, and we use some cell referencing. It's pretty complex stuff to get the FICA on a rolling basis so the employee's paycheck is correct. Okay? Now, I think even at the end of the course, you'd be hard-pressed to put something like this together because it's pretty complex. But we'll have bits and pieces as we work through it. But I wanted to show you a good example and to kind of give you a feeling of how I like to bring you in and take these things apart so you can see them, okay? Now I'm gonna go back up just a hair over here, all right? And I'm gonna go into the assumptions area. This is the salmon area. Notice we use coloration to border things off. A spreadsheet that's well designed, okay, it's going to walk you through, take you from the general to the specific. You'll have different areas. They'll be demarcated by coloring tables or something of that nature. Here is the amount of money that the federal takes away, that is withheld. Okay, and the employer has to match. Pardon me, the employer has to match that. State withholding, that's tax. Here's FICA. The percent is 7.65%, and there's a cap. The most FICA income that anybody can pay in is $94,200. That's basically Social Security is what we're really talking about there. Okay, that's the max. And there's Medicare. Okay, there's the cap. And then there's some things like a monthly group health insurance, profit sharing, and a charity. And then we have a counter. It's this cell right here, D16, excuse me. And first month is January, February is the second month, etc. So these are assumptions. Now we create and use these assumption areas so that when we want to, we can change those assumptions and then change the spreadsheet and the results if we want to see what it would look like. So if I wanted to see what everything would look like if the federal withholding instead of 26 was 20%, we could do this. And you can see that all changes. Now we'll just walk that back to the original assumption and go from there. Okay. So now we come down to the section that we call, okay, the payroll, pardon me, the computation and the output area right in here. And we have the person's first name. This is a well-designed spreadsheet because it shows you everything. It has a border, it has totals, it shows you what's going on. We're going to take this first person, Amanda Boucher, and I guess that's how we would pronounce it. And we're going to look at how she progresses. Her monthly gross. Now, we're starting in January, so she has no prior earnings. Here's her earnings for January, okay? Here's her monthly gross pay, which is basically, and you can see the cell referencing there, okay? She makes $120,000 a year. She's paid monthly, so her monthly gross pay is $10,000. One of the things you should always be able to, you should remember, is that you have two parts in Excel. One is this formula bar area, and then you have the display. And this will give me a quick to remind you about cell referencing. When we put a dollar in front of a letter, that means we're going to stay in that column. If we put a dollar sign in front of a number, that means we're going to work in that row. And if we put a dollar sign in front of the number and the row, we're saying this is an absolute cell reference. This doesn't change. It doesn't move. But notice we've got H23 over here, okay? And that did. And then we've got the assumption, okay, for the state withholding. Then we've got the FICA, and it equals E29. Let's go down here for a moment to E29, okay? And we're going to take a look at that and see what the FICA is for this person. And here's cell E29. We're going to pop this up just a little bit. And I want to let you see the formula. Wow, I bet you just took a deep breath or your eyes went to the back of your head. Now I have a Word document that explains what we're doing here. What we're doing here, and also provide some explanation as well. What we're doing here is we're using a series of nested conditional statements. If something is true, and something else is true, then here's what we do. Okay? That's all that's going on here. But, it's, if C39 is less than D14, okay, and D39 is greater than D14, then we take that and we take that times the minimum of whatever is in this cell S14. And I have, like I said, a Word document that will explain all of this to you. All right? I wouldn't expect you to write something like this. In fact, this is we're saying we're either going to get the minimum or the maximum of those. And that Word document I have for you, it takes you and walks you through step by step by step on what we're working with. Okay? So don't think I'm expecting you to do this at week 1, week 2, or even the end of the course, okay? But I wanted to show you how we can design a spreadsheet to give us information and really tell us what's going on. So we're concerned about our payroll. Now we also have the Medicare, and you can see we're doing it. So this is good. We're using some good cell referencing, and we end up with the person's net pay, and so we know what the net pay is for everybody for the month of January. And then if we change this to month number 2, watch what's going to happen. I'll change this to 2. And notice the prior cumulative earnings appear because now we have earnings from January. Okay. And we can go and we can change, we'll change this to 3. And we see now we have the January and February earnings because now we're in March. And we just go on through this progression. And I'm going to take us up to 11. And you're going to see that some people have no more FICA taken out because we've taken out the maximum amount. okay? And then we'll finally get down to month 12, and we'll have one person left who has to pay $599.25 on their FICA. Okay, again, I would not expect you to produce this, but with this, and by the end of the course at the very least, you'll be able to go in and take a look at this and say, okay, I see what's going on. I understand we're using a maximum function, the minimum function. We're using an if and, which says if one thing occurs and something else occurs, then here's the result. Otherwise, we have a default. And that's what's in that Word doc, okay? And I wanted to show this to you. Now, I'm going to close this off, and we'll open up the Guardian FICA Explain, okay? And this walks you through what we're talking about in terms of the cell referencing, then the formula, putting it into English. So it's there for you, and I give you an example of Amanda Boucher and how that FICA, rolling FICA, is determined, okay? So that's going to be XLS case number 3, and you say, okay, you've got that there, it's checked, I can see it, so, okay, now what do I do with it? Well, it's pretty simple. Let's go back over here to the syllabus, all right? And you're going to come over here, and you're going to see a February 15th, upload XLS3 here. You want to upload that file, Guardian Roofing, right there. Okay? You say, oh, okay. And again, this has, I'm going to encourage you, all right, once we do this, to look at some things if there's, and when we're in class, like say Thursday, if you have a question about that, we can go back over and talk about it, because we'll be, or if you had a question today, I could try to answer it. Let me stop for just a second. In fact, because we got a lot of us here, and this is good to see. I'll see if I can get you guys to appear. If the software is going to play nice with me today or not. Maybe it won't. There we go. Now, if anybody has a question, feel free to, there's a chat function on here, and I'll get notified, and I can try to answer a question if you have one. Okay. Sometimes also, if it occurs to you, you can write me an email. I can try to answer that too. Or when we have a physical session, if you're there, you can answer a question. So if somebody has a question, feel free for just a minute or so to signal me that you do. Anybody have a question I could try to help you with? Okay, I'm going to move ahead then. All right, now for Thursday, and let's go back over to the modules area, okay? And thank all of you for showing up. I'm glad to see such good participation. And remember, wow, okay, I see one question. All right. This is a question Jared had, and I think he'll be okay with me sharing it. He said, is there anything that we need to be working on until we meet Thursday? Let me recommend that you just take a look at Guardian Roofing and look at it. Also, we're going to cover cases number 1 and 2 in the Solve It book. So what you guys should do would be to take a look at those cases. Now, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go down here to we're at week 0, and notice I have the document named Tyler shows where to find. There's a document there called Tyler, where to find XLS1 and XLS2. Okay, and so you want to take a look at the Solve It book, and you want to be working on it. Okay, and then also on next week, on the 6th. You have on the 6th, you have the financial ratios quiz. That's drawn from case number 4, as well as resources that are over here in Canvas. So that's really what you ought to be working for. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I created a little document down here that tells you where to find stuff for the exams and things that you're going to have. Scroll back up here to the very bottom. And some resources. Okay, I thought I had loaded that file over there. Here it is. Resources for BISS 1123 exams. Okay, so in addition to looking at the case number 1 and case number 2, all right, out of the Solvent book, you have an exam coming up on the 6th over the financial ratios quiz. And I'm going to open this up for just a sec. Okay, and it'll rent itself. So I tell you, here's some Excel files. Okay, and also some documents. Okay, and as I mentioned, you're going to find them in the Canvas modules section, the files, or the supplemental website. Okay, and that's where you'll find the materials. And of course, it's, as I said, it's drawn out of case number 4. And when you go look at case number 4 in the Solvent textbook, you're going to see they show you how to compute those different financial ratios, why they're important, etc. And we'll cover that. But with the exam coming up, you'll want to do that. Now remember, these exams are open book, open note, okay? And you can take them at any time you want. So I hope that answered your question. Now, when you get into the Solvent textbook, okay, Solvent 6.0, when you go to a case, here's what you're going to see. It's going to tell you the case, the skills that are used. It's going to tell you some information about the company and the problem, and then you'll get a list of tasks that they want you to accomplish, okay? Now, once you go back that, you'll see also a tutorial for that given case, and you'll want to look at that tutorial. Got another question here. The time limit on the exams is going to vary. It will state that. That's a good question, and typically, I think I try to give you, sometimes I try to give you like 45 minutes or an hour, something like that. Let's look at the syllabus for a second, and I can answer your question real quickly. We'll start with the financial ratio quiz since you're already there. And click on that. Okay, it's 50 points. It has how many items? You get 2 attempts. Okay, you've got 20 minutes. And how many items does it have? It's 50 points. I can't remember how many items it is. I think it's like 10 items or something like that. Okay, and you get 2 attempts, and you got 20 minutes to get it done. Now we'll go back over to some of the other quizzes, and we'll take a look. Again, I'd have all my materials out there ready, and you can take the thing twice. Okay. Now I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to do a preview here real quick. Let me pop this open. Okay, this will give you a quick idea of what you're looking at. They're objective. Or you may have to do you may have to do a little bit of computation. Okay, a firm has 2.5 million in total liabilities. It has 7.5 million in total assets. What's the firm's debt ratio? So you'll have to go over there and find debt ratio in chapter 4, compute it, and then tell me. Here's I'll look at question number 2. Firm has 10,000 shares outstanding worth 150,000. What's the price to earnings ratio? And there are 10 questions. So you got 20 minutes, you got 10 items, and you take the highest of 2 attempts. We'll have a physical class on Thursday, yes. Thank you, Taylor. Tuesday is a virtual class, okay? Thursday is a physical class. Now, let me explain how this works so everybody understands the options they have. In an ideal world, I'd do the screencast, and everybody in class would come in and look at the screencast, and then after I've saved the recording, they'd go back and look at the recording. I know there are going to be people who won't come to the live screencast because they can't. They say, well, it's going to be recorded anyway, so I'm going to look at it. That's fine, okay? As far as the physical class goes, I want everybody there. If you can't be there, then you can come in remote and follow the screencast like all of you are doing today, or you can wait and see the recording or do both. The beauty of this is I can live stream it, okay? Then it's recorded, and it's there for you to look at again if you care to do it, all right? And so it's just going to depend upon your schedule and what's going on with you, all right? And you don't have to worry anymore about, well, what did we cover? Well, it's going to be there. You'll see it. And because you can scroll forward and scroll back and all that, you'll be in good shape. Now, I'll be there Thursday for class, okay? And I'll be screencasting over in BBC Lab. And there may be some of you who show up, some people who say, I'll just do the remote, which is fine with me. Here's the thing, okay? You know what your assignments are. They're all laid out. When quizzes are due, when things are uploaded. I'll record the lectures by showing you how we work through some of these cases, all right? So I'm trying to make it as flexible as possible for all of you, okay? And you say, well, can I work ahead? Certainly you can work ahead if you want to do that. That would be fine. The real value of this course, okay, is where, I have an opportunity to show you, like we just got through with Guardian, how we work through some of these cases and how we try to solve them, okay? So when you say, well, what should I do for next week? It's pretty simple. Go into the modules, okay? And this one has 10 questions, all right? And you go into the modules, and then I'm going to close this up. And you'll see that we looked at XLS3, and we did course intro, okay? But review the course materials, the website, familiarize yourself with Canvas, and the Tyler doc tells us about where we can get XLS 1 and 2. Now next week, okay, on Tuesday, I will probably cover XLS 1 and XLS 2. Now what you're going to find is I often will work ahead, and here's the reason why. We'll be working on case 5, and it may not be due for 2 or 3 weeks. But as we move into the section where we cover the access cases, things tend to slow down because everybody's experience with access is not as they just don't have as much as they do with Excel. So I try to build some buffer time, okay, in there, or some flex time, so that if we have to slow things down, we can do that, okay? So case number 3, you've already seen it today. You know where you can find it. You can upload it, and you'd have that over and done. But I would like you to, just for Thursday, look around some more, look at these resources, have 3 uploaded, and take a look at your book, and we'll come in on Thursday, and we'll cover case number 1 and case number 2. They're rudimentary kinds of things that just deal with things like cell referencing, formatting, using some formulas, things of that nature. And I have some finished products for you. You say, well, what if I decide just to take a skeleton file and try to do it on my own? Will I be penalized? No, okay? That's why I said I use a workshop format with these, okay? So I can make sure with a reasonable about that you've focused on understanding as opposed to just doing keyboarding. if you're attentive and you pay attention, you watch, by the time we come to the exams with hands-on parts where you have to do a little spreadsheeting or a little charting, you'll be ready to go. Does that help everybody? I hope so. Well, listen, it's 1:42, and again, I will record this, and it's going to take me a while to take this and convert it to a YouTube file, and then I'll upload it to YouTube, and then I'll load it over in the announcements section, this class session. So everybody, I will see you online or at BBC Lab on Thursday. And if you can't make either one, there's always the recording to fall back on. That's why I do it. I hope you have a good one. Thank you for all of you for being here. Appreciate your participation. And see everybody one way or the other on Thursday.